let's get good. I've had a lot of people asking what I'm going to do now that we finish Endless Space 2 Unfallen, and I'm going to be starting a new game, guys. This is going to be something we haven't had on the channel before. In fact, it's something relatively new. It's in early access, and it's my favorite type of early access game because it's an early access game that has an actual playable game already, and a free demo that you guys can try out. The link to that demo will be down in the description of this video. That game is Stoneshard. This is a turn-based tactical RPG. It is, wow, guys, and let me tell you why. There's something in this that absolutely grabs me, and that's that it has a classless leveling system. For those of you who are not experienced with a classless leveling system versus a class leveling system, a class leveling system is something where you choose to be a thief or a mage or a knight. You're kind of put into this archetype, and in a lot of games you can branch out a little bit from there, but you are kind of in this archetype. This is the opposite, where instead you have all these different skills that are associated with different weapons or schools of magic, and you can kind of combine them the way that you choose to build the character you want to build. So the limits are essentially your imagination and your willingness to experiment, which means there's a lot of replayability in these games because you can do all sorts of different playthroughs and have a really, really fun time with them. So I'm very, very excited to get into it for that reason alone. But there's so much more going on here, guys. Like, I've played through it a little bit just to get a feel for the game before we do the series. And one of the things that I'll tell you is very, very different is the save system is very restrictive. You are only able to save by sleeping at an inn or completing a dungeon, essentially. So what that means is that every decision you make on your journey out from town now has so much more weight behind it, because a bad decision now could mean dying in the next zone. And if you die, you go right back to the last time you saved at the inn. So there's repercussions for your choices. Now, on the note of zoning, there's another really cool mechanic that makes that sort of have some more impact. AI is amazing in this game. Not only will they come at you full on, like, there's not going to be any of this you snipe one bandit and his three friends stand there going, what happened? Huh? Who shot John? Huh? None of that, no. You do something like that, they see you, they will follow you through zone maps, through zone borders, and they will kill you. So you have to be very, very careful about the decisions you make. For the most part, enemies move at the same speed you do, so unless you have an ability that lets you cover a little bit of extra ground, you're probably not going to be able to get away once you engage, so you have to be really, really careful and smart about how you do so. Once again, adding some more gravity to that decision making. In that aspect, it actually reminds me a lot of Darkest Dungeon, which many of you will know is something I absolutely loved. So I'm excited to really get into this and see where the depths of that go. Beyond that, it has a very interesting health system where when you get injured, it actually is a specific type of injury. It has specific effects associated with it, and it lowers your max HP until it is treated properly. That might mean that you need to splint your leg and then clean the wound and bandage it. Basically, it adds in a little bit of survival mechanics to the turn-based RPG, which makes it that much more interesting to me. I find it to be really, really enjoyable in combination with the other stuff I already discussed, because it really does make that decision-making super intense. There is also a psyche mechanic where sometimes things will happen that will affect your character's psyche, which will affect their morale in combat, which is another great thing that we saw in Darkest Dungeon. And then there is a permadeath option if you are a sadist and you just want to, I guess a masochist. A sadist would be the one. Anyways, if you want to die the true death and want to really get into character and only have one life to live, you do have that option. There's all sorts of great content planned for this in the future. There's supposed to be a caravan being added in where you can recruit people as followers that will journey with you through the game, and you can do stuff with them. So there's all sorts of great stuff on the horizon. I can't wait to try this game out. If you're one of our patrons over on Patreon, go over to Patreon. There is a post there with the 4 starter builds. Because this is still in early access, you can't start a clean slate character yet. You have to pick one of 4 templates to work off of. And all of our patrons have the ability to go let us know which of the 4 templates you would like me to use in our first playthrough of Stoneshard. If you're not one of our patrons, it's a great time to become one. Just head on over to patreon.com/gamerunderdevelopment, and for just $1 a month, you can help support the content you enjoy here on the channel. If you want to give more than that, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. I get the pronouns mixed up sometimes. Anyways, I would greatly appreciate it because I do put a lot of work into these. But of course, I'm only asking for $1 if you just want to help support the channel. That being said, if you do decide to become a patron, whatever, you will be able to influence some of the direction of the content going forward, because one of the issues I found myself running into is there's a ton of stuff I want to do and not enough time to do it all. So I'm going to be putting more of that in the hands of the patrons so that there's sort of a navigating factor. It'll just basically help me navigate the waters of things that I already wanted to do and prioritize those things based on the things you guys are interested in seeing. So that's where we're going. This week, we will be starting Stoneshard. Expect to see that probably Friday. Yeah, Friday's probably pretty good for that. I really am excited to go on this journey into something new. I will be covering Humankind when it comes out. As soon as AMP gives me the ability to cover that, I will be covering it. But I hope in the meantime that you will all join me on this new journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.